So I want to use it as a point of feedback to give us more proprioceptive information about where we are. And we're also going to use the wall to look at and the floor to look at so that we can get our other sensory systems involved. And we're also going to add some vestibular to it. So it's going to be like a full sensory explosion wall workout. So what I want you to do to start is come to basically a child's pose with your feet touching the wall. So I don't have the dorsiflexion, meaning my feet don't flex enough for my heels to be on the wall, which is totally fine. I just want to have some pressure of my feet into the wall. And then I'm going to go from here and just press forward. So first just press forward however you want to press forward and just look at where your eyes end up. So my eyes end up looking like right there. So that's the point I'm going to go to. So I'm going to go back and then shoot forward to where my eyes had ended up. I'll go back and shoot forward. And I notice that when I go back, I like to just keep looking at what I'm looking at, which is actually kind of a lot of pressure almost with my eyes looking up so high. So I'm going to change it to 2 points to look at. So I'm going to look straight down, and then I'm going to trace along the floor as I go forward and see where I end up looking straight down. And that actually feels a little bit better on my eyes. So I'm going back and forward. Also trying to keep the pressure in my feet the same. So equal pressure in both sides of my feet, both feet. And then we're going to change our motion to add a little spinal flexion into it. So from your tailbone, you're going to try to tuck your butt under you. So imagine you have a tail and you're just going to put your tail under you like you're a dog in trouble, and then keep your tailbone or tail coming under you as you come forward. And so now when you're forward, you might feel that the weight feels heavier in your hands, because before I was like this, and here I'm like this, so a little bit more of my weight is forward into my hands, and I want to keep that pressure into my feet. So we're going to come back the way we came in. So I'm going to try to keep my tailbone tucked under as I follow back with my eyes. And then kind of at the end, I can't go all the way back unless I let my tail go up as if I'm my dog when he's happy. So again, tucking your tailbone under, I'm drawing a line with my eyes along the floor, keeping my tailbone tucking under, and then seeing if I can keep my tailbone tucking under as I go back, which is way harder. So here I'm thinking, can I keep the pressure in my feet the same? Can I really feel how my pants feel on my body? Like here I feel like kind of a stretch in the front of my pants, and here I feel kind of a stretch in the back of my pants. So I'm going to that stretch towards the back of my pants as I come forward. Now pause here. So we're in spinal flexion, lumbar flexion, low back flexion. Now we don't want to walk around in low back flexion. It's not a good look. We also want to expand our upper body. So now think about taking your chest and dropping your chest towards the floor as your eyes continue their track. So you're not lifting your chin, you're just letting your eyes keep moving forward. And then you're going to push into the floor. So you come back where your entire spine is a little bit flexed. And then you're going to let your eyes trace a little bit forward as your chest drops down. So we're coming into a little bit of thoracic extension. And then it's getting heavy. So we'll go ahead, trace back, trying to keep your butt tucked under you, and really also feeling your feet against the wall the entire time. So one more to just transition. So we're going to travel our eyes along the floor, butt tucked under, coming to that straight, or they're kind of tucked under, and then we're going to keep our eyes going forward. Let your chest drop, so we're in a little bit of thoracic extension, and then however you want to get down to the floor. If you want to do it as a push-up, I feel like my arms are too far back, just go ahead and lower yourself down onto the floor. So you can have your arms by your side, and I want you to scooch back so you still feel your feet against the wall. So from there, we're going to start by having your eyes look up, having your head follow, and then seeing if you can get your shoulders to roll back as you lift up a little bit. We're going to turn your head to the left. So looking to the left, turn your head to the left, and back to center. Look to the right, turn your head to the right, and back to center. Eyes go left, head follows, and center. Eyes go right, and head follows, and center. Now let your left arm kind of reach forward with you. We're going to take your left arm, and you can think about it as you're going to sweep your floor with your arm. So you're going to begin to let your left arm go back, and you're going to follow it. And then when it gets to kind of align with your hip, you're going to let it lift up, and you're going to follow it forward and see if you can lift up a little bit towards your arm, and then lower it down. So right arm goes forward. Again, we're sweeping with our arm. So follow it as it goes back. Kind of lose it when it's back by your hip. So you're going to lift it higher so you can see it again. And then you're going to bring it forward. Try to lift yourself up a smidge and lower it down. So you likely feel your low back working a little bit, which is fine. Low backs have muscles. So again, left arm. Sweep the floor with your left arm. Lift your left hand. Follow it around. See if you can lift yourself up a little bit higher. Lower it down. Right arm reaches. Follow your right hand around. Lift it up. And reach it forward. Hands come down. Press yourself up. And then push yourself back. So you're in that little child's pose where it should feel kind of nice. And then I want you to actually walk a little bit further away from the wall so that you can have your toes kind of tucked under. We're going to do this as a very important little stretch that if you can do, I want you to do at various times throughout the day. So most of us don't have enough toe extension, and that can really negatively impact our walking. So we want to work on a little bit of toe extension here. And it does not feel good. I will admit that. But lots of things in life don't feel good. Taxes don't feel good. Some vegetables, we eat them because they're healthy, they don't feel good. If you're using any greens powder, that doesn't usually feel good, doesn't feel like ice cream. But nice to kind of stretch these out. I would always say, really, if you do this, try to go for a little walk after you do it, because it feels kind of crazy while you're doing it, but it does give you a nice stretch on the underside of your foot. And then it can also make walking easier, because if you have trouble lifting your foot up, a lot of times you can get a little bit of help by lifting your toes up. So if you can stay in the toes tucked under position, I want you to stay in the toes tucked under position. I'm actually going to turn this way, just so you can see what I'm going to do with my arms. So you are welcome to just sit down any way you want to sit down. What I want to do is I want to take your arms, and you're going to reach them both up like you're making a little bicep curl. You're going to take your right arm and pull it down as you side bend to the right. So imagine you're just pulling yourself down here, and then keep your right arm going back as your left arm reaches up, and you're going to turn your hand so it's facing the wall. And then you're going to come back to where you were. So now left hand pulls back, and then think about creating more space between the side of your body. And I am now at my peak of being able to sit like that. with my toes tucked under, so I'm going to sit on my heels. So again, your right arm pulls you into a side bend. Your head kind of goes with you. So you kind of take your head with you and then reach your other arm up, and then you come back to center. Now I feel like this feels to me like one of the best side stretches you can do, because you're getting like all this length to the side. So what we really want to feel is the expansion of our ribs into our shirt, and then go back to center. And if you want, you can follow your arm as it lifts up. That actually does not improve it for me. So I like to just kind of look forward. So one arm's going up and twisting, one arm's going back, almost like a row. We'll do a couple more like this. Just kind of stretching out our side body before we move on. And now let's work the back of our legs and our pelvis, and then we're going to put it all together in a final exercise. So making your way down onto the ground, your feet are up on the wall, and then your arms can be down by your side. And just kind of feel where you feel heavy. So I feel very heavy right here, like right underneath my sacrum. I feel like all the weight is there, and then on my shoulder blades. So I'm not judging it, it's just where it is. So from here, I want you to push your low back down into the floor so that you can feel your low back make contact, and then lengthen your low back away from the floor. So if you, like me, felt really heavy in your sacrum, we're going to kind of go through those motions where we feel more heavy and then less heavy, because we're rocking our pelvis. It's actually coming into a posterior tilt, and then it's ideally just kind of coming back to neutral. So you're not really super arched away. You're just kind of like heavy where you're lying down. Now the next time your low back touches the floor, I want you to push into your feet and think that you're dragging your heels down, even though we're not. The heels are going to stay where they are. As you lift yourself up, you might feel like you're pushing yourself back. So we're going to try to not do that. So the way we're going to try to not do that is we're going to find a spot straight up in the ceiling, and we're going to try to keep our head directly looking at that spot straight up on the ceiling. So same start, you're going to press your lower back into the floor. Lift up. If you feel like you start moving back behind or on top of the thing that you're looking at, I want you to stop and then drag your heels down a little bit more. You might feel a little bit more like activation, because that way we know we're lifting up and not pushing back. So we lift up, kind of reassess, see if you can lift up a little bit more. You might find that your butt is tucking under to get you there, which is what you want. And then you're going to lay your spine back down and then lengthen your pelvis. Now, let's take one foot lower than the other foot. So I did right foot lower than left foot. And then we're going to come up, but just a tiny little bit. So lifting yourself up so your butt is basically off the floor a little bit. Keep your left leg where it is in space, so you can have your left hand touch your left outer leg so you can feel that it's there. And I want you to drop the right half of your pelvis down so that you feel it touch the floor, and then lift it back up. Lower to touch, and lift it back up. Lower to touch, and lift it back up. You can also bring your hands onto your pelvis and feel the right side lower more, but you'll also see that the left half of your pelvis is going to move the slightest bit up to address that. But you want to think of that, if you were looking at your knees, that your knee would come. I cannot see my knees where I am, so I have to use a more tactile position. Go ahead and switch legs. So your opposite leg is up higher, you lift off a little bit, and then you're going to keep the right leg going straight up and forward as the left kind of rotates to touch on your left hip, just a little bit. Do 2 more, and last one, and then go ahead. And we're just going to rock up to a seated position. I need to get out of the way of my wall. My wall was a little bit in my way right there. And now we're going to come to a position where your feet are touching the wall, and it's basically my toes are touching, and my knees are stacked. And then I'm going to sink into my shoulder. So I want to feel that my ribs are kind of coming down towards the floor. And then I'm going to let my pelvis actually kind of roll back. So that same motion that we had against the wall where we're dropping our hip, we're going to basically do the same motion except in a different position. So you're going to take your left hip back up. Now from there, we're going to try to time it so our hip goes forward at the same time as we press away from the floor, so that we're trying to take our ribs that are down, and we're going to try to reverse the shape and press up here. So I'm going to bring my hand onto my ribs so that I can feel that push away. So now my ribs are basically arced in the other direction and my knees become stacked. And then I drop, feel my ribs heavy into the floor, and I let my pelvis roll backwards some, and then I push away. Let your pelvis roll backwards some, and you can even turn your head and look up at the ceiling. So now we're like basically in this weird flex position, and you're going to come out of it, look forward, lift up. Legs should feel, knees have kind of equal pressure between them. You kind of push out of your shoulder, which we've let drop, and your ribs are pushing up. So head moves around, we follow it, and then push up away from the floor. So we're moving around our arm, around our lower leg. We're getting sensory feedback with our hands on our ribs. We're getting vestibular feedback by turning and looking at things. And there is a reason for this pattern that I'm putting us through, which is to kind of get a sense of rotations as we're walking. Now, we don't do all the rotations like exactly how they would be when we walk. What we try to do is we try to get all the different things that need to be rotating, like the pelvis needs to rotate, the ribs need to rotate, we need to have some side bending. So we're kind of putting that all together, and we kind of need to look where we're going. So I'm going to spin myself around to face the other direction. And I have my toes pushing into the wall. I can't have my feet flat because, again, I don't have that range of motion. And I'm going to start by really sinking my lower ribs down into the floor. My knees are stacked, one on top of the other. And then I'm going to go ahead and let my knee roll back, and I'm going to turn my head and look up towards the ceiling. I can bring my hand to my top ribs, because as I turn my head around, I basically am undoing the position that I was in. And I'm following my head, dropping my ribs, rotating my pelvis back, and then pushing into my top hand to feel how my ribs went from down to up. Take a peek at your knees, make sure your knees are stacked. And then again, we're rotating it around. And back. Really try to lift those ribs up. Really talking to myself there because I wasn't doing as much on this side. Rotate it around. And lift it up. And rotate it around. And lift it up. See if you get a little bit more lift. And then go ahead and you're going to come back to a hands and knees position, so similar to how we started. And we're going to do a little bit of ankle movement and balance work by putting one foot against the floor or one foot against the wall. So hands underneath your shoulders, reach your leg back. And so I see that I am running into the wall too much and I can't have my leg straight. So I want my leg to be able to be straight. So I'm just going to scooch forward a little bit. And so you might notice when your foot is against the wall that you might want to lean into one side. So I like to lean into my right hip. So what I want to do is I want to think about rolling over my hip so that the pressure is kind of in the middle of my knee. And then just kind of keep going side to side just so you get a sense of where middle of your knee is. And then you can also just kind of trace with your eyes to find a spot that's in the middle of your hands, looking maybe a little bit more forward. So I'm going to push back. So I see if I can get a stretch on my heel. And I'm going to push forward by bringing my foot into a point. I'll push back and forward, push back and forward. A couple more like this. Push back and forward and push back and forward. Now instead of moving like I was, I'm going to push into my foot and bend my knee, but I'm not trying to move my body at all. So I'm trying to keep the pressure in my two hands and down knee the same, and just moving the leg that's reaching back. We'll do two more like this. Last one like this. And then I'll go ahead and lower that leg down. Come off your hands, just give yourself a little bit of a break. And we'll do the other side. So leg reaches back. You might notice this heel is on the wall because this leg has better range of motion. So I might need to scoot forward just a smidge. So same thing if you like to dip into your hip. That would be a totally normal thing. A lot of people do it. So think about rolling over your knee. So I feel a lot of pressure on the outside of my knee on the ground, and then I'm rolling it so I feel it more in the middle. So you could also go where you feel it more on the inside, but I feel like that really feels like you're gonna fall over. So I'm looking at kind of coming to the middle and looking kind of straight in the middle. So I'm gonna push away and then drop back. Push away and drop back. Push away and drop back. My arms are getting tired. I don't know about you. You can always drop down to your forearms like so, if that's easier. I don't think that's easier. It's just different. So then you can bend your knee and back. And here you want to keep the pressure in your hands and your knee the same. So I'm bending my knee and extending. Bending my knee, kind of pushing with my foot. And extending, we'll do just 4 more. 2, 3, and 4. Go ahead and come down. If you're like me, your arms get tired, so we're just going to shake it out. And then it's like a shoulder shrug. It's like a shoulder shrug, and I like to kind of move my head around just to kind of see how it feels. Now, I always like a little walk around after we do stuff. So take a walk, see how you feel. If you feel better walking, I always say there's something in there that is probably something you should work on. And for most of us, working on rotations and working on foot mobility, I think get us a lot of wins in terms of improving how we walk. So it's always our goal to do exercises that make movement easier, especially for people living with neurological conditions. If you want to see more, please hit subscribe. If you liked it, we'd love for you to hit the like button. I'm Mariska with the Neuro Studio. I am a movement professional for many, many years, and for even more years, I've been an MS patient. So we hope to see you here more, and if you have questions, send us an email. You can reach us at info@theneurostudio.com.